I got to thinking, in high school, I ate everything that I could find. I could not imagine being involved in a sport where you couldn't eat everything that was on the table. We have some wrestlers that were outstanding wrestlers. The 4 wrestlers that went undefeated that year, if they're here, I'd like them to step forward. I know some of them are. Undefeated the year of 1966 was Bob Chapin. WrestleMania right now. No! I'm the announcer. We'll bring up Renee to carry the cards around for us. That'll work really well. So these wrestlers went undefeated that year. Don't worry, we'll give opportunity again. George Johnson went 2 years undefeated in a row. He was the one right here. George, please. Bob Chapin went 2 years undefeated at Heuvelton Central and went off to Canton ATC and compiled a record of 22-3 at Canton College. And there was I'm going to use the word, a legendary family of wrestlers in the North Country. They were the Story family. Wrestled in Canton, wrestled all over, wrestled anything that moved. Yes, they did. I'm going to tell a story. We're talking about wrestling, so I'm going on a little aside here just for a moment. When I said they'd wrestle anything that moved, one of them went to an auction once of a zoo to bring home a camel and instead brought home a gorilla. And maybe you know the difference, I don't know. But he kept the gorilla in the barn and thought it would make a great wrestling partner. And it was fine except for one thing. It didn't understand the rules. It didn't wrestle fair. It would bite. So anyways, Bob Chapin took down Terry Story. Terry Story had won 53 consecutive matches. And he fell to the mighty Chapin. This was a great team, great coach, great school support. George Johnson had something you wanted to say.
We were all good wrestlers then. And we're being honored, yes. But the honor that goes mostly is to the Lord for me. Because we worked out behind the bench to get ready for our match. I've always said a prayer, and he was always with me out there. And I thank the Lord for being with me. I also want to say that our crew here was always encouraging each other out there. Coach Rock and the boys always did everything they could to cheer them on and also try to tell them what they can do. Third, you the people. We couldn't achieve our goal without having our parents, families, and friends, and the crowd coming to cheer us on. That made us stronger. It was happening back then, and it's happening now. And you the people should be honored and thanked for coming to these games and making us what we are today. Please keep it up, and we thank you for being a part of our group.
We have certificates that they can show their grandchildren that, yes, I was an actual animal when I was in high school. We also have Hall of Fame caps for them.
more round of applause. Good job, Bob. I'll wait to do that. A lot smaller than Good job.
The next person we're putting into the Hall of Fame was a fixture, an icon, a person that in Heuvelton was just kind of always there. I mean, I was born in 1950, my parents moved here in 56. The year I was born, I had never spent any time not knowing Guy Conklin. We'll pick up his story when he finished the war in 1945, World War II, graduated from Cortland with a degree in physical education, married, had a young son with a PE degree. Not a great place to be in 1947, 1948, 1949. Looking for a job, and he had a friend, Arthur Grant, who had come to teach in Heuvelton. Heuvelton at the time was not a centralized school. It had 13 rickety buildings scattered around that you were supposed to go teach PE in. His friend said, I am not teaching there. I'm all done. I've been there a whole year. I can't take it anymore. But, you know, if they'll hire you, at least it's a job. I don't think you'll like it. They warned him about Heuvelton. Started teaching in 1950, taught physical education from 1950 to 1983. Coached basketball, 6- and 8-man football, baseball, track, cross country, volleyball, and tennis. And a couple interesting things are some people coach that can't play the sport. And that's fine. There are great coaches that are not great players. Coach Conklin was not one of those. I've yet to see him not be good. I never saw him not be good at something he was coaching. He started a summer youth program in 1951 through 1984. And I thought, what's involved in starting a summer youth program? First of all, he had to be charismatic enough to convince people that they wanted to help. That yes, you really want to coach a Little League baseball team. Yes, you really want to coach a kickball team. And to keep a steady core of volunteers to come and help him with these youth programs from 1951 to 83 is a true testament to a man's charisma and his ability to convince people to come along and help. I was thinking today of what would it take to start a youth program. And I'm thinking specifically of the swimming bus. And how many here took part in the swimming lessons? Can I see your hands? Okay. Maybe you have a different memory of them than myself, but I'm going to share mine. I think he went to parents and said, how would you like to not have your children all summer, but let me take them and you can have a break. I'll take them all of June and 2 weeks in August, and I'll take them away on a bus and I'll bring them back. And I think that's all my parents heard. What I remember is that my parents would take me to the tennis court where it used to be and let me off. And I'd get on this bus that would go to Ogdensburg, and we'd get out and endure a forced march down the rocky Pythian Beach shoals, which seemed when you're 7 or 8 years old to be about 4 miles. Really, it's not. To take you to the rockiest, coldest part of the St. Lawrence River he could find, and then say, get in, you'll like it, stay there. If we did that to our kids today, we'd be put in jail for abuse. And yet, year after year after year, we got sent to swimming lessons. Now, swimming lessons during the day, baseball at night. I did not know that his wife Pat had a complete kickball schedule for the girls. She was every bit as involved as Coach Conklin was. And the lives that were impacted through this swimming program. My wife, she was a widow at the time with a little girl, lived right across the road here where John and Janie Richards lived. 3-year-old daughter, playing in the neighborhood with all the kids around. It came time for swimming lessons. He looked at her and said, well, of course she's coming to swimming lessons. Debbie said, no, she's only 3. He said, that's okay, somebody will watch her. She's a great swimmer. Off she went at 3 with Coach Conklin to the Augsburg Beach. And she has great memories of that. The other things that you may or may not realize is one of the things that kept Coach Conklin here was he loved the people, he loved the area, he loved the fact that there was great hunting and fishing. Everybody you talk to will have a Coach Conklin story. Like to hunt? Yep. One guy told me today, he said, yeah, I remember him pulling up across the road from us and taking his rifle out of his car and shooting a woodchuck and getting back in and driving away, like ready to shoot anything that moved. That works pretty well. He taught hunter safety for 23 years. And I thought of it. I was telling a guy today, I said that we're installing Coach Conklin in the Hall of Fame, and he reached in his wallet and held out his card. He said, I've been hunting since I was 16, and I learned how to hunt from Coach Conklin. Coach Conklin worked with the Boy Scouts for years. You know, not only was he involved in their lives at school, in their lives in sports, in their lives in going to the beach in the summer and playing baseball, he took time to run a Boy Scout troop. And do you folks realize how much Coach Conklin loved nature? And you're going to say, he did? Well, all of you that ever had Coach Conklin for gym class remember inspecting a pine tree. 4 miles up the hill. I'm sure it was 4 miles. My memory is everything was 4 miles. There was a pine tree halfway up to the baseball diamond, and we got sent to run around and inspect the pine tree. Or I'm sorry, was I the only guy that sent around pine trees? I was the only one? Oh, there's somebody back there that went around the pine tree. Okay, the truth comes out. You other people had to run around the pine tree too. My earliest memory of Coach Conklin, one of my earliest memories, is him walking down the hall. And does anybody remember Coach Conklin's distinctive walk? Can you in your mind's eye picture this guy walking down the hall in his white Converse sneakers, right? White Converse high tops. And it would take him about 3 strides to cross this stage. And I remember when I was in kindergarten watching him come down the hall, and I'm thinking, his shoe is half as long as my body. If I tell you this next line, you're going to think I have the same writer as Richard. But Coach Conklin was a guy that all of us could always look up to. Oh yeah, you'll get there. Anyways, we're so thankful today that we have his 2 children, John and Jana, with us. Coach Conklin had a fantastic effect on so many lives, and we're so honored. I mean, we have a park named after him. We're so honored to be putting him in the Hall of Fame. I read a newspaper article in researching this. In the last line of the article, I don't know why I get emotional, there's no reason to. The last line of the article defined Coach Conklin. There's always room for one more on the bus. And I think that is how we're going to remember Coach Conklin. There's always room for one more on the bus. John and Jana.
everybody that rode that swimming bus, and everybody who ran around that pine tree, myself included, probably more often than most of you realize. I was never as good at sports as I should have been, or you would like to have been. It's certainly not as good as most of all of you. But, we were glad to share it with you. Thanks.
Here we are, as Yogi Berra would say, it's deja vu all over again, which is a wonderful thing. Our last installation today is last year's girls basketball team. Yeah. There's not a lot to say about them that hasn't been said by better people than me, except I do want to share a couple things. That as you travel around the area and you travel through other school districts, our girls have done a couple of rather amazing things. And I'm not talking about winning the states twice in a row. That's relatively amazing. But the amazing thing is when you go to these other towns and people find out you're from Heuvelton, their first comment is, what about those girls? And you don't have to think about what girls they're talking about because you know they're talking about your girls. And these girls have been able to do something that they probably don't even realize. They've been able to take Heuvelton School District and win humbly. And you can go beat up schools, and you can terrorize them, and you can trash them, and they don't want to see you again. Our girls can go and win humbly, and still be thought of well in every other town you go to. And I think that's a real testament to you as parents and grandparents and coaches that, yeah, what we did was fun, it was important, but the most important thing is how we learn to treat people as we go through this wonderful ride of winning state championships. So I'm going to call them up front, but one of the things that I really want to tell Rob and Austin that put a fine job of turning out, and you parents, a great group of girls that when you go to other towns, people say, what about those girls? And they love them every bit as much as you do. So I'm going to call them up front, and we're going to recognize them again. And of course, the first name is not Larry Brown. Page 2. Our first one is Pat. Tara, help me out. Patty P. Parenth Anacorn. Liza Martin. Kelsey William, if you girls would come up. Alyssa Johnson. Madison McCormick. Alex Steele. Karen Sherwood. Keaton Mack. Christy Donnelly. Paige McCormick. Paige Weston. Gabby Johnson. Karina Warren. Natalie Barr. Anna Thornhill. Jalen Hawkins. Our managers this year were Katie Cunningham, Lakin Martin, and Lara Martin. And coached this year by Rob Powers and Austin Wheatfall. Now we're going to do a real brief recap, and then Rob said he wanted to talk for about 30 minutes. So, D West champions, Class D champions, Section 10 overall champions, New York State Final Four, New York State champions 2 years in a row. I think I could have just brought this from last year. I found it, I always viewed this girls program or any basketball program for the eyes of a coach, because that's what I had done for many years. So in the state championships, I did not get to the game. I was listening to it on the radio, and Paige picked up her second foul fairly early in the game. And that's not really a place you want to be as a coach or as a team watching the previous New York State MVP head to the bench. And I was thinking about being in Rob's shoes and thinking, I've got a sitter, I don't want a sitter, I've got a sitter. I've got a team that is going to compete. I got a bunch of interchangeable players that when somebody goes down, somebody's going to step up. So I sat and listened to the game, and when they went in at halftime, I think the game was tied and we might have been up a couple. I thought of it from the other coach's perspective. Wait a minute, we just played the defending New York State champs with one of the best players in the state on the bench, and we didn't catch him. Maybe we might as well not go out for the second half.
Yes.
So, but the other thing I thought, I felt bad for Rob. What if he sits her and they didn't win? Oh my goodness, we'd have to hang him. We couldn't let him come home. He says, yeah, you got that right. Anyways, what a great ride. I'm anticipating a wonderful season this year. These girls have done so much to put Northern New York basketball on the map, to put Heuvelton Central School on the map, and they've done it in such a way that each and every one of you and each and every one of you should be very proud of. Thank you, Rob.
Today I said, man, I got to give a speech. So what can I do about this? I got a great idea. I'm going to let Austin talk for a little bit.
Yeah, I found out about 12:25 when we speak. It's all right though. Actually, I have something in mind. Last night, I don't know if anybody had a chance to go over to the St. Lawrence football game. I'm a graduate of St. Lawrence University, played football there. It was the first night game that they've had ever on that field, because nobody wants to travel for 4 hours, play a night game, get done at 11 o'clock, and then travel back to wherever they got to go. It was a great atmosphere, a very packed crowd. However, it's kind of like being at a golf match. And what I thought about, I kept looking up, and I was sitting on the rail, or standing on the rails with a couple people I knew, and I kept looking back up in the stands, and everybody's decked out in scarlet and brown, but it sounds like a golf match. And what I immediately thought about was sitting on the bench and looking up in the stands at all of our games, and how packed it is. And St. Lawrence went up 28-0 at halftime, and then you can see mostly the college kids getting ready to make their college plans for after the game. And they started heading out, and kind of the game was over. And that never really happens around here. People stick around, they stay, they cheer loudly. Everybody's excited to be there. So I just want to kind of point that out, that I think that the Heuvelton community, and I am a graduate of St. Lawrence, but has a much better fan base. Sad to say, I guess, but happy to say, than even the St. Lawrence crowd last night. Electric atmosphere was nothing like that we've seen over the last couple years, or nothing you see on a daily basis in any of the games that you go to, the soccer games, the softball games, all those things. So I'd like for you all to give yourselves a round of applause for your support and your dedication to HCS.
Thanks, Coach Weefall. When I found out the theme for the Labor Day Parade was superheroes, I was in comic book heaven, because I'm a comic book geek. Coach Weefall's a bit of a comic book geek as well. So I'll give you a little analogy. Like the radioactive spider that bit Peter Parker turned him into Spider-Man, and the Earth Sun which powers Superman and gave him a super strength, this community is what drives forth this team. We couldn't do it without you guys. We appreciate everything that you guys have done. To go down to the state Final Four again and have the people that work there say, I can't believe this is a D school, the small D school. We have double A's come in that have 1/10 of the crowd support that you guys have. It's absolutely amazing. And we could not possibly do this without the parental support that we receive, the school staff, all you people in those surrounding communities. So again, as Coach Weekfall said, we thank you. You guys make this possible. And that's really all I got. Thanks for coming. Thank my family too. Love my wife.
And really, the hats are nice, but we really want Rob to keep one on, keep the glare down.
I would just like to point out that it wasn't for Agrimark, which is also Cabot Cheese and part of McAdams, our Heuvelton Alumni Association, and Patty Ritchie, who supplied a combined donation so that the girls can receive championship rings, as well as the coaches, for a remarkable 28-0 record this season. And Dave alluded to the fact that every school seems to know who Heuvelton is. Well, just give you a quick funny story. I was setting up a non-league game over the summer for the team, and the athletic director was looking for a game. I won't mention the school. But anyhow, found out later that the athletic director said to the coach of the school, said, hey, we got a D school for you. D school. Should be a good one. Should be able to get a few points. He says, well, who's that? He says, Heuvelton. He said, Heuvelton? Do you know who Heuvelton is? They're like the reigning state champs, and they still have players coming back. The athletic director did not know Heuvelton. So, I won't tell you who that is, Rob, but you better make sure you beat him. Okay. So, presenting the coaches with their rings, and then I'll allow the coaches to go ahead and present the players with each of their rings. Coach Rob Powers, congratulations, championship ring.
Turn the lights down now, Rob.
Oh, I don't have my glasses. Can't read. I'm gonna also do this. Can we do the read part?
They're too old, Rob.
Larry Martin. Christy Donnelly. Corinne Sherwood is not here. Alex Steele. Last year, and I'm like, oh, perfect candidate, Alex Steele. Kid never stops smiling. The second she gets a microphone in her hand, she's stone-faced all business. Kelsey Spike Williams. Natalie Barr. Jalen Dawkins. Melissa Johnson. Gabby Johnson. Kate Mack. Eliza Stinkham Martin. Shoulder guns. Madison McCormick. Paige McCormick. And did I bring you one? Also like to recognize Patty P, Anna Thornhill couldn't be here because it's such an excellent program. She's actually preparing for a softball season at Cortland State right now. Craig Sherwood, who is employment obligations, and Paige Weston, who is studying hard right now. So she will be hugely successful as all these ladies. Thank you. No one's moved yet, so we're used to Renee being down here like, just one more picture, guys, one more picture.
Richard, am I done yet? I'd like to thank every one of you that showed up to support the Hall of Fame. What I am going to make a plug for right now is Steve Bain is the workhorse behind the Athletic Hall of Fame. Would love to have new committee members on the Hall of Fame. They meet 2 or 3 times a year, look at records, take suggestions. So, first of all, this would not be possible without Steve Bain, so I'd like a big round of applause. And I wanted to hold it. Maybe that's all there is, Steve, I don't know. I'd like Steve to stand up so you can identify him, so if you would be at all interested in helping him, you can seek him out right after this and at least share your contact information. But I would like a big round of applause for Steve Bain. That's all I got, Richard. It's up to you.
Okay, I want to take a moment to thank the current members of the HCS Alumni Association for all the hard work they put into planning today's activities. These volunteers give of their time and talents to make this reunion, our newsletters, awards, and Facebook updates possible. I'd like to give them all a hand. Thank you very much. And a little plug for the committee. If you appreciate what we're doing, we ask for your support. Please consider paying the $10 annual dues or any donation you feel appropriate. If you don't receive our newsletter, please let a committee member know or contact us on Facebook and we'll add you to our mailing list. Also, please contact any member of the committee if you're interested in becoming part of our team. I've got a couple announcements before we go. Because the fireworks are scheduled for tonight, we have canceled the open mic event at Pickens, but the Pickens Hall will be open, Dave, is that right? For a visit and see all that they've accomplished. And we hope you'll get a chance to enjoy all the Labor Day activities this weekend. And thanks to Renee and her volunteers for their hard work. And please join us for reception and refreshments in the cafeteria immediate following the ceremony. And we please ask that you don't go in the area that we prepared for the dinner guests. Seating for the dinner will start at 4:45. For those who've made dinner reservations, please pick up your name tags on your way into the cafeteria. We also have a couple things for fundraising. We have a 50-50 raffle and a quilt raffle. Tickets are being sold in there. Drawings will be tonight at the dinner. And lastly, thank you all for coming this afternoon to recognize the efforts of the honorees. Let's give them one more round of applause.